So it was 1998, and I was incarcerated in Delaware Correctional Center in Smyrna, Delaware, and I was doing uh, a 5-year sentence. My cellmate had double life plus 8 years. And I'll never forget this because this was one of the most significant days of my life. Around midnight, the cell got raided. There was a bunch of noise and chaos on the tier. Chains were rattling, dogs were barking. You can't see out the cell door down the tier because the door is locked. So the door buzzes open. Zzz, the door pops open. Standing in front of my cell is big, gigantic men, 6'8", 6'9", very muscular fellas, possibly 350 pounds all muscle, 280 all muscle. These were big men. And there was plenty of them dressed in black. Military style black. They sort of like SWAT uniforms. And then there was the ones with their faces covered even more than mine, assassin style. And the dogs are just barking, so they come to my cell, and it's for the sake of the information, I'm John Doe. They say, Doe, get on the ground, get one back, get on the ground. And I'm like, yo, what did I do? What's going on? Shut up, Doe, get on the ground. So I'm wondering, what the hell did I do? Are you coming from my celly or something? He's the one that got the double life plus 8 years. Like, I'm about to go home in a few years. What the fuck is going on? So they were exactly coming for me, and they're telling me, take one bag and come on with us. So at this time, it's complete pandemonium. The tier is dark. Again, this is midnight hour. And as they drag me out the cell, and I'm trying to stuff as much as I can in one bag, they drag us to a rec room that sets off the tier. Inside this rec room was a few other men, convicts of course, inmates, who were in the same exact position. So we're all in the rec room at this particular time in this part of the building. There was possibly about 40 or 50 of us in this rec room that was built for maybe about 20 people comfortably. So we're bunched in like sardines there, and everybody's looking at each other, and we're asking questions to each other. Oh, what's going on? What's up? We don't know the answers. Nobody knows what's going on. It's a mystery to every one of us. So they march us across the compound in a chain gang. We're all tied together, 30 to 40 to 50 people in each chain gang, and they got the building is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiers in the building, 3 on this side, 3 on that side. So they're taking 50 guys from here, 50 guys from there. And they're marching us across the compound, and we're still screaming and asking questions. They got dogs barking, and they're acting very, very aggressive, and they're telling us, shut up! We'll tell you what's going on, just shut up! So they're really, 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 really expressing their authority. They were allowing us to understand we had no win, and they didn't care if we knew why or if we were comfortable or uncomfortable. They could care less. At that point, that is the most incarcerated I've ever felt. That is the most violated I have ever felt. So they marched us up front to the clerical area. The administrative section. This is where the offices are at. And now, I'm concerned. I'm really wondering, me being a thinker of a land of thinkers, and in a land of thinkers, and then again, I'm looking around and I'm starting to see some of the people who are in here with me, and it's a lot of elites, You know, well, it wasn't just me, it was a lot of other great men from this facility. So, at this point, mind you, remember the scene. Big, super duper stormtrooper looking assassin men. Then you got the SWAT team, dogs barking. I'm not talking about the 60s, I'm talking about the 90s. They got dogs barking on us right here, same dogs, German Shepherds. So, I don't know, now I'm looking at the irony now, German Shepherds. So, this is the part where I found out that the 13th Amendment was actually real. They said neither slavery nor servitude will be used as something to do with you're going to be a fucking slave if you do a crime, and it's constitutional. That's the 13th Amendment. So the Constitution was out the window. They were doing martial law, and this was pre-9/11. You know, this wasn't the Patriot Act yet. That wasn't even in order yet. This was pre-Patriot Act. They're on us. They waged, I don't want to say a war. I want to say they just snatched our rights from us and made us sign paperwork without reading it, which they called an emergency classification. It was very similar to when the Indians signed over the deed to the land of America when William Penn and them came over and snatched everything that they have built and worked for. And just to parallel, if you go to William Penn's Landing, the statue of William Penn on Penn's Landing, you'll see the Indian chief handing over the treaty and handing over the deed to America right there on the statue. That's what the statue is. And a lot of people just go to Penn's Landing and have fun and never even look up. But if you look up, that's what it is, or you can just Google it and look at it on your Palm Pilot. Back inside the jail. So at this point, we don't know what we're signing. They're not allowing us to ask any questions. Anybody who tried anything is getting billy clubbed and they're dragging us. But mind you, we're all still chained together. So now there's small confrontations amongst us because we're all confused. It's anxiety. And, yo, I'm telling this, yo, you're pulling my arm too much over here. Yo, chill here. He's pulling me there, arguing, dogs barking. And out of all of this, these motherfuckers want me to put a goddamn ink pen in my hand and sign some shit that I'm not allowed to read. So you know how it is signing something. You know it's always, you're supposed to read something before you sign it. We had not a chance in the world. Sign it or get beat to a pulp and still sign it. So anyway, they drag us outside the jail. Now, mind you, we're not even in the facility anymore. We're in the parking lot. They got buses lined up. It almost looked like a school trip. You know, when the school trip is, everybody leaves the school with the chaperones and all the buses are lined up. Well, these are penitentiary buses. They're lined up. There's plenty of security, state troopers, SWAT, K-9 unit, helicopters hovering. At this point, it's like 2 in the morning now. Very dark, very serious. So they're putting us on these buses. Now, mind you, we just got snatched out of our sleep, out of our comfort zone. We didn't get a chance to use the bathroom. You got people peeing and pissing. You got diabetics yelling and screaming, hey, I need my insulin. It's too much going on for us not to have any control at all. So now we've been not only kidnapped physically, but we've been kidnapped mentally, and a lot of our spirits got crushed. So a lot of us were even kidnapped spiritually. Because the worst factor is the unknown. The X factor is always the worst factor. The unknown is a very and scary situation. So in the middle of the night, we're getting escorted down the highway. So When I say escorted, I mean escorted. It's a presidential line, and there's again police everywhere escorting us, and the buses are moving out, helicopters are hovering, and now finally the sergeants are walking up and down the aisles of the bus, as again we're chained in and pooping and peeing, and our personal property is really a wreck. This is all I own to my life right now at this point. One bag of whatever. Didn't matter if I had pictures of my dear grandmom in my cell. It didn't matter if I had a letter from my son in my cell. It didn't matter if I had legal work that I was working on, that I was trying to make it out of jail. None of that mattered to them. They snatched us out of our life and created a brand new life force. They snatched us out of one world and shoved us into another without consent at all. So they tell us, look here, you guys are headed to Virginia. Now, this was so deep now at this point, because we're like, Virginia, what the fuck? I didn't do anything to Virginia. I don't even know if at that point if I ever even been to Virginia. But I definitely didn't do no crime there, and I definitely don't need to be doing no time there. And at this point, I really don't know what's going on. So I felt like not only have I been extracted from the community when I went to court and lost my case, but now I'm getting extracted from the jail that I was in. And I got to feel in this lifetime what my ancestors felt when they were extracted from Africa, brought over on the slave ship, and pushed back into bondage. So that's just what happened to us. It was 300 of us in the middle of the night getting smuggled down a highway. We landed in Virginia. So they take us off the bus. Now, mind you, we land in Greensville Correctional Center. We land in Virginia. Greensville Correctional Center is a warehouse prison. And when I say warehouse, I mean warehouse. They have at least 10 compounds. Smyrna Penitentiary, DCC. Everybody knows approximately how big it is. Well, they had about 10 Smyrnas on one land, on one grounds. So this was a very big facility. This was a very big thing. And this is the kind of stuff that's going on when you drive down the highway down south behind those sticks, in those woods, up those roads. So we get there, and that is the gist of what happened. That's the gist of what happened. We got kidnapped. We got forced to sign our life over, which they called an emergency classification. We got thrusted into bondage and sold as cattle. We got sold as property. Delaware sold us to Virginia as fucking property. We were property of the state, and we got sold to another state. It was a deal between the Union, the State of the Union, and the Commonwealth State of Virginia. And it wasn't a color thing. It was black people, it was white people. It was Puerto Rican people. It was a human thing that they reduced the inmate to less than human. They turned us into fucking property. The same way as any other kind of herd. They herded us as if we were cattle. We were no different than if it was a car truck. When you see those car trucks on the highway and they're bringing in new cars. We were no different than that property. We were fucking property. We got stole and sold. So my message is you really got to be